Hey everybody, welcome to Field of Dreams on NCBN TT. I'm Steve David and I'm your host. Today we talk football like we usually do, and I have with me two of my ace analysts who will help us discuss our topics. Anthony Clarke, welcome to St. Anthony.
Thank you very much, Steve. Always a pleasure to be here.
Good. And Dexter Cyrus, welcome to the St. Dexter.
Good morning, Steve. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here with you this morning.
I see you having a rough time with your football team, Dexter, but God is good.
Yeah, God is good all the time.
All the time, right. I wanted for us to discuss all the happenings in TTFA football and football in this country and whatever else, because there's so much going on. So I don't want to start with national team. I want to start with our
Let's start with the South Zone elections.
South Zone election?
Yeah, right. There's a new executive.
New sheriff in town.
New sheriff in town. Well, let's see what he brings to the table and what happens for football in San Fernando and environs. I think he is the owner of Tiger Tanks.
Mm-hmm.
CEO.
Excuse me, sir?
The CEO.
The CEO of Tiger Tanks. And let's see, Michael Morris, was on that slate as well. So, let's see what new, especially we have a brand new park, Skinner Park. Brand new Skinner Park. We have Manny Ramjan right around the corner. So let's see if San Fernando football is revived. I mean, my thoughts on who I think the composition of an executive should be. Somebody who is skilled in sports management, who's qualified in sports management. And so let's see what types let's see what happens.
Right. Yeah. I know he has what's his name? Alvin Ferguson, who's his first vice president.
Yeah.
And Alvin supposed to have some kind of footballing background.
As a player.
As a player, and it's injected in the blood from his father.
He did manage the Petrotrin Paloseco football team.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I coached them.
All right. So I mean, you're right. We have to give them a chance to.
We have to give them a chance
to prove themselves. But what's coming out of that? What the election finished? They won. So now, what's next?
That's what I'm saying. I want to know what's next. If a league is going to come on board.
We are asking what's next.
We are asking what's next, and we are glad that they have a new organized body that should revive football in San Fernando and environs.
Especially youth football.
So we should say to the new president, come on board and let us hear what you have? Because he was here.
Yeah, no problem.
I think we should bring him on,
hear
what his plans are, and follow up on that, and make sure he follows up on his promises.
His manifesto. He has a manifesto.
He does?
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see it. Send it to me.
I don't know if it's a follow-up your good old buddy manifesto, but he has a manifesto.
I will try to get it from either Alvin or Mike.
You don't have to. I have one in the car.
Oh, nice.
I'll give it to you, and then you can follow it up.
Yeah.
But hopefully we're looking for better things. Hopefully they would find some sponsors to inject some money into the league.
Yeah.
And we get a better Southern Football Association.
Well, they start a league. I don't think we have a league.
Well, we had one last year.
Okay.
And actually, we had 8 teams last year, 10 teams. 5 that plays north of the river and 5 plays south of the river is how they. And I think he wants to do the same thing. He wants to do like a deep south. I'm talking about based on his manifesto. Mm-hmm. A deep south, and then
south of the creek.
South of the, I don't know what you just said, deep south, and then it has the other half. So you'll have 2 groups which is similar to what they had last
All
year.
right, okay.
And see what happens. So we will give them a chance to do that. I know Civic Center is in it, and I know Field of Dreams is in it.
Okay.
As two teams in this Deep South that are coming up against each other, so to speak. And we go from there.
Yeah, well, we have to give them a chance. I heard Clarke say that we have a new Skinner Park, but we can't really associate Skinner Park to football anymore
There is no football in Skinner Park.
because the ground is, I think the Republic Bank under 13s, I think that's the size of the ground.
Right. So, well, the youth football will be played there, and other football will be played in Manny Ramjan.
No problem.
Right. Well, I think they cut Forest Reserve, so they might be preparing that field for competition. I don't know. But I know the field is cut and getting prepared. So we will see what comes out exactly out of it.
Yeah.
And for right now, we can only speculate.
Yes.
And let's stop speculating and
No, we ask questions.
and
we want to
we-
see, we're waiting, we're observing.
be observant.
Yes.
And it is, according to the forum, the AGM they had about 40-something people voting. So that was a big contingent of people who normally they don't have. So, I mean, I had to go there because I had to vote, cast my vote with representing Field of Dreams, and also Civic Center was there, so we can cast our vote. And they have a lot of academies was there. So it was pretty exciting. It was, if you look at it, among the people they had, it was encouraging
Right.
that South Zone football should be very good.
Right.
So we
Some of
see-
those people.
It speaks volumes for wanting a new era to kick in.
All right, let's observe. No negative comments. We are observing, and
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's a new slate and a new management, we just give them time.
For the people who wondering who is the president, Dennis Latif, he is the new president of the South Football Association.
Dennis Latif.
Dennis Latif.
You're right. You mentioned something, Dexter. Give them time. I have been saying I'm going to observe. Give them time means what? How much time? Because if you were presenting yourself to serve, you should be coming in with a plan. You should be coming in with a schedule to get things rolling in the shortest possible time.
Well, Steve said that they have a manifesto.
All right.
So depends on if you haven't read the manifesto as yet. Remember, don't jump the gun.
Were you ready?
I have not
Okay,
read the
yeah.
manifesto.
So it's implementation.
Yeah,
We
let's
will
get-
get
Implementation.
Yeah,
Implement,
let's see if what's on the manifesto.
No,
if
right.
that-
I agree.
if
I'm
it
not
comes to fruition.
questioning. I'm asking you how much time
is
enough time. That's why, because you said give them time. So I'm asking you, how much time do you think is enough time? Because they should have come in with a plan. They should have come in with, stated plans, right? A manifesto. So how much time do you think you give them before you start to critically analyze
Let's give them a season.
an entire season? How
On it.
long? Right?
On
How long are they there for? In terms of what's
I think
the
it's 4 years.
tenureship? Okay.
Let's give
All
them
right.
let's give them a season.
All right.
And let's hope
And
that,
observe what happens.
yeah,
during the season.
let's hope that they don't just do what happened
Okay.
in the last season,
All right.
because South Zone was being run without any youth leagues.
All right.
South Zone was just being run with
Well, I know Mr. Latif,
a senior league.
right here, his focus and his organization has, sponsored youth league tournaments in the past. So I know that he will focus on youth development. So how does he start? And for me, I think that is where you have to start, and you need to grow from. I don't need to see any senior football right now.
So what would you like to see? What would we like to see
I would like to see
that's
youth.
different?
Well, I would like to see youth development tournaments, and eventually
As
to
a youth
have
league?
Yeah, youth league.
Okay.
Youth league. I would like to see
I,
youth.
I wouldn't not just youth league, academy leagues too. You know, from the primary school level, because I think we sort of get lost in that age group between 6 or 7 to 11, and really in Trinidad and Tobago we tend to start to zoom into football, especially the administration, when the boys reach secondary school football and now they are able to play in the secondary school
I
football.
don't understand why you're saying that. A youth league means a youth league. So if our academy joins the league and they join itself as an academy, youth league starts from anything, from 5, from 8. I want to see what they come with as a youth league.
But that has not existed in the South Zone.
Well, that is what I said.
Republic
that Mr.
Bank National.
Latif has had those types of tournaments.
No, he had a successful under 20 tournament.
All right, but his focus and his right what I've understood that he wants to focus on youth development.
Right.
So Steve asked me what I want to see.
Right.
I want to see a youth league. That's what I said.
But from what age?
Huh? Well, that's what I'm saying. From 8.
From 8?
From 8.
Right. So we're looking at that age group between 7 to 11 there in primary school, from that age group.
Yes, from 8. That's why I want to see it.
Tap into there first.
Yes.
Obviously, we are not going to neglect the teenage age groups, right up to 20, but tap in from down there first, because the formative years of these kids, it's very important that they develop and they get a game.
Agreed.
Not necessarily every week. They could get a game every 2 weeks down at that age group, so you give more time for development, right? But more than likely, tapping in from down there creates the mentality where they understand, all right, I'm training to play a game. I'm training to go and perform, right? It's not just about going out there and recreation and that kind of thing. You know, if we want to improve the quality of the player, we need to not just improve the quality of the player on the foot, but also in the head, mentally.
Realistically, though, to get elementary school football should be within the Board of Education, that group.
And I've always argued against that.
Why?
Why can't it be at academy level? Why can't it be academies?
Hard. I'll tell you why.
Right, he's saying what it is now.
Yeah.
It is with the board because, like, for example, intercol football is run by secondary schools association.
Right.
Right? It's not under the ambit of the South Zone and the TTFA and so on.
Right.
That's what he's saying,
Right.
And I've always argued against that because some of the schools, that's not their focus. Their their focus is not ensuring proper development of football.
Of course.
Right? So I have always argued against that and felt that come to the South Zone,
Do your own thing.
let the South Zone come and help you organize this thing and let it be controlled by the South Zone and the TTFA.
Yeah, most definitely.
Because at sometimes a primary school might give in fact, it used to happen in my day. The P teacher used to coach the team. No formal training and training or education and coaching or anything like that.
School football is a showcase. Based on the kids who are pretty much able to play football with their clubs, they come and they showcase it in school football, even secondary school football, because the league itself is too short to do any form of development, and also it has to be done within a particular time of the year. So if you start school football at September, you're saying that you're ending by November, mid-November. That's 2.5 months of football. Your preparation for that might be a month before. So let's say 3.5 months. What are the kids going to do for the next 8.5 months of the year? Obviously, they have to prepare with their clubs, develop with their clubs, and then come and showcase their talent again the next year in secondary school football or primary school football. But we don't want to have a situation where children are just looking to play football for 2 or 2.5 months. We are not going to have a particular quality of player to go onto the national team if that is the model.
But that was always the model since us growing up.
No, but secondary. But South Zone had youth football.
No. Wait. Hold on.
South Zone had youth league football.
No, I think you're going off.
When we had elementary school
Elementary
football,
school.
Yes,
football.
yes,
So there's no
yes.
intercal in elementary school football,
Of course,
right?
no. But South Zone had youth leagues. The zone had youth leagues.
No.
Yes.
No.
I grew up playing youth leagues in South Zone.
Minor league. No. Academies, you're right. It's minor league things, and we do have that, and we continue to have that.
Minor leagues was for the adults. What are you talking about?
No.
The kids?
The kids, growing up, all we had was school football, which was elementary school football.
School South Zone had
Stop making
South
noise
Zone
with
had
the
youth
thing,
leagues.
your camera, huh?
South Zone had youth leagues.
Don't beat.
Okay.
All right, South Zone had youth leagues.
Yeah, they had youth leagues.
Right. At what age group?
I remember playing from under 12 or
That-
under 11 or something like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is above 11, yeah.
Yeah, under 11, yeah.
We never had that 7 to 11. That was
And
elementary.
that's what we're talking about.
Okay,
And
okay.
that's what we're talking
Okay.
about.
Yeah, but we need to readjust that model.
All right, if you go like this on that cushion anymore, the people is not going to hear you because that's going to affect your microphone.
Okay.
So you cannot do that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we need them to do something to coordinate, is what we're saying, as
Yes.
70, 11.
And
group.
right, and what I'm saying is that the primary school, elementary school, which is under the Ministry of Education, they should come to get some assistance from the South Zone to ensure that we have a proper organized structure for that type of football, so that that would also benefit the secondary schools league when it comes. It's a showcase, but it will even be a better showcase because the people that used to come out in around my time for secondary school league football do come out again. It's only a handful of students comes out.
All right, we're getting to break time, but when we come back, we will let's talk about TTFA football or something,
TT Premier League.
TT Premier League. All right, viewers, we'll be right back after this short break.
Yeah. I come from a place where only happy people and pretty girl everywhere, yeah. I know life is rough, but we still a smile on we face, yeah. No matter how hard, man, we don't let tragedy face way. We could take strain, that's why when we testing, we just bet hard when we jamming, we just jam down when we drinking, man it's strong rum, eh. Pop a bottle right now when we betting, we just bet hard when we jamming, we just jam down when we drinking, man it's strong rum, eh. Pop a bottle, push up your hand, yeah. We see bodies we bad, push up your hand, yeah. God bless this land, yeah. So we go jam down, oh la la, so we go wind down, oh yeah, so we go jam down. So we go wind down and in the air. If you're born right there in this land, where the vibes go and I say hand in the air. If you're born right here in this land, where the vibes go and I come from a place where even when it's tough, we just live it up, it's amazing. When the battle hard, we just pray to God for we safety. Yeah, I know that we safe, yeah. We gon' make it. Cause God is our tree when we testing, we just bet hard when we jamming, we just jam down when we drinking, man it's strong rum, eh. Pop a bottle right now.
Hi, join us for your movie classics on NCBN TT Television Network every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. with repeats on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. NCBN Television, the #1 online television network, bringing you the classics.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. And for the ones who now tuning in, you're looking at NCBN TT. This is Field of Dreams. I am your host, Steve David. And with me is Anthony Clarke and Dexter Cyrus. And so, guys, TTFA Premier League is in full swing. Dexter's team was on top of the table in the first week. Now they're down to the bottom.
That means so they won their first game?
Yeah.
That's it. Okay.
Right.
All right.
So let's talk about the running of the league. I mean, what we think. Is it moving smoothly? Is there some hiccups? What we like about it and what we don't like about it?
I'm glad that football has started back. And I'm glad that there's some sort of formal football being played. And it's a start, right? I agree with Angus Eve's comments on the league, and sometimes that the game is too slow for international purposes, right? That the professional league is too slow.
Slow meaning?
Slow, right? How they play, right? The pace of the game and so on.
Really?
Angus made that comment, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, right. And I agree with that comment.
Why?
The intensity of how we play, we must always try to be at the level of not only other professional leagues, but international leagues. Try to strive to that level. And the way the game has evolved now, and the way that players have to be prepared for international football, because nobody comes to see Premier League football. Very small crowd, but people come out to see our national team play, right? The fans are not there as yet right? And maybe that could be the reason. The intensity of the game, the strategy of the game. And I have always said that when a national coach gets players from clubs, he should not be doing coaching or trying to implement something at that stage of the game. I always wonder, Dexter, if it is that the technical director and the coach goes to clubs to try to encourage them to do things a different way, so that the type of player that comes to the national team is one of them. He has to be fit, ensure that he's fit, not send somebody because he's skillful. Yeah, all right, and he unfit. Because now I have to work on his fitness, fitness.
Yeah.
Right? Or where you send somebody because they okay. There should be a standard of player that is screened by the national team. And I think that needs to be discussed with the clubs to know what type of individual we're looking for and that type of thing before. So I agree. The overall what he was saying was that the league is not properly preparing players for international football.
Now that we've started, right? Mm-hmm. The league has started in March. Right? We're only 2 months into the league. The first round is finished. We're into the second round. I think we have about 10 more games to be played, maybe 9 or 10 more games, right? I don't think that you're going to get a jump.
No, he's not talking about only now, you know.
No, I know that.
Generally, our club football doesn't properly prepare a national player for international games. That's what on, right? We're not talking about this league specifically.
No. We will be able to find a player or two. Generally, with him saying that the play is too slow, right? Obviously, that's a general statement. But what we have to take out of that is, at international level, obviously it means that the game is way faster. That's all it means. So now we have to prepare players a particular way. I agree with what you say, because now you look at the World Cup and you see that World Cup teams that are able to compete are athletes with skill and brain. They are first athletes. There's nobody who is able to play at the top level in the top clubs in the world who is not an athlete anymore. Those days are out of the window. Even if in Trinidad and Tobago, the national coach comes to a game and he sees a player that he likes and that kind of thing, and all right, he takes him to the national team. He doesn't have the certain physical attributes and that kind of thing. If he decides to work with him, that's his choice. That's his choice. Whether, okay, he's not that fit, I feel I could bring him up to a certain level of fitness, that's the national coach's choice. That's up to him, right? We must not put a player in that situation. We must always prepare the player to be ready. That's what we must be able to do. So the national coach could just say, hey, this guy injured, let me take this guy from this club. And he put him into the team one time, and
Correct.
he's able to perform.
Correct.
That we must be able to do that. So at club level, you want to be able to prepare all the players so that they can play at international level.
That should be a goal as a coach.
That should be a goal as a coach. So Angus doesn't have all that work to do. A national coach shouldn't have to be doing all this. He should be a tactician, a match-day tactician. Study other teams and set his team up a particular way so that they can play a particular way. You know what I mean? He just needs to just fine-tune and be very tactical on match days.
But I disagree with his comment, and I'll tell you why. It's like if you start with the younger groups and you train them to develop the skill, and as they get bigger and more better at it, they can move a little faster. So if we play at a pace that the game is controllable, we should continue to develop that skill. And as you get better is when things just, things can go
It's
at
automatic.
light in space.
Yeah, but we
You don't think about
specifically
it.
were speaking about the senior aspect of the football
I
now.
know.
Yeah,
Right,
the senior
So
team.
we can't expect 12 teams to play at a lightning fast pace. We would expect maybe 2 players from each of the 12 teams to do that, which would form our national team. So as the players get better, then they could, of course, they move into the national team, but you wouldn't see a whole team at that kind of pace.
And I
Maybe
don't
other
think
way.
it's actual physical pace alone he meant.
Wait a minute.
I'm right, he means
Speed of thought.
tactical, speed of thought, all that. The game, the players are generally slow in all aspects of the game rather than pace, because I think we have
We could
players with
who could run
a lot of
Who could run fast? Yeah.
right physical pace, but can I connect my skill with my thought, with my action quick enough for the international game? It can have somebody with very good and that is why I said I actually changed what I thought his meaning was for the game, that the clubs are not properly preparing players for international level.
Yeah.
So instead of just speaking about the pace, I think he was
Talking
about the overall player, the overall pace of his thought, his and putting everything together.
In football development, right? You are only as good as the opponent that you train against. That is
Or train for.
well, not necessarily for. You have to prepare. You have to prepare with the players that you have on your team. You have to prepare for the opponent with those players.
All right, I don't understand. Yes, you're
So
right.
you are only as good as the players that you train with. You are only as good as them. If you have top class defenders on your team, you're 10,000 times likely you're gonna create top class strikers, because the strikers are training against top class defenders. So here what happens? If we can't take that and transfer it to the national team, like for instance, what happens at international level is, okay, I might have a lot of skill, I might be fit, but the next team is not giving me any time on the ball. I have minimal time to make proper decisions. What do? If I am playing in a league that is giving me a whole lot of time on the ball,
Correct.
And then when I reach international level, I have no time. I'm going to look as though I can't fit in. I'm looking as though I'm not ready for that level. But then the league did not prepare you for that. That is what I think. That is what.
And that is what he's saying. Yeah.
I think that is what he's saying.
My thing is that you cannot get a league playing, otherwise they would be running with like.
Yeah.
I hear you. So how does I change the team
disparity in teams? They will get that.
To say that the technical director and the coach should also visit clubs and coaches or call a meeting and talk to them so that we have one national thought, not one system, but one understanding of, listen, right, we need our players to come up to us. Listen, these are the areas I would like this specific team to improve in, right, from me watching the game and so on. I hope the coaches are humble enough to take advice from the technical director and the senior coach, because that is what all this is being, all this preparation is for. That is what our league is for. Our league is not a league that makes income, to say that it's a profit-making enterprise, right? Our league is a struggling league. The reason
our league is a developmental.
Yeah, developmental league for international football.
To reach the national team so we can go out and get a contract.
For international football.
Same thing like Brazil.
So I hope that and with that advice, hopefully the standard of the football improves, and therefore more fans will come out, and therefore clubs can start to earn something to keep their operationals in the green rather than the red.
Well,
but I don't know if that happens. I don't know if the technical director and the coach goes and speaks to other clubs.
Now going to speak to other clubs, right? That is not going to actually fix the reality of the situation. What we need to understand is what TTFA and Anton and they would be doing based on me going to develop myself as a coach. So even if you are speaking to me and I do not have the tools or I do not know how to do certain things, then it will not be able to be done.
No, but Dexter, at the professional level, I think clubs hire coaches with that have
B license.
B license.
A minimum of a B.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So at least they have some sort of
right. So now you're looking at the B license for the coaches of the 12 teams in top 12 teams in Trinidad and Tobago. That's 12 coaches. That's only 12 coaches. That's the pool that you have to choose from. Where am I going to take players? Are the 12 coaches? Are the 12 teams going to take players from the other 11 teams? Is Civic going to take players from the other 11? We have to take players from that. We have to take players from Super League teams and South Zone teams, and this is what we have to do.
You know my thoughts on that, right?
Right.
I have expressed that over and over again. For us, our football to improve, the leagues in the entire country have to be operational.
Yes.
We only focus on the Premier League again. We call it the Premier League. It was the Pro League before.
You need different tiers.
You need every zone and association playing football at all the time.
Yeah, you need different tiers.
Every coach for every club, a criteria should be that they at least have a B license or a C license or whatever with succession planning of training should be part of this new South Zone. They should have a progressive training plan so that coaches can improve.
You know your mentor, right? God rest his soul, Mr. David John Williams. He and me, we agreed on something a day in a meeting. And afterwards he spoke to me and we spoke at length, right? But there are coaches and administrators and people who do not understand that training for competition is different to developmental.
Of course.
It's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, of course.
You want to develop kids, you can't just decide that you're going to get them stronger and quicker and give them intense training. No, you have to spend time with the ball. You have to spend time on the board. You have to make sure that they understand patterns and all these things. These things is how you develop the player so we have a better product coming up through the different national teams from youth level. If your youth teams are not successful or of a certain standard, how are we going to have a proper senior national team? Development training is different from competition training.
But this is what Angus has to do, or TTFA has to do. You have to get better players from outside to join into our league, so we can play a better competition. If what we have is not good enough, otherwise that's not going to help us. We need to play more international games with our senior team, and spend some money trying to develop them in that way so they can play against the hard competition. But you cannot ask a league to just turn a switch on.
No. Agreed. Totally agreed. Remember my thoughts on that as well. That our focus on that senior team and senior team football should be an 8-year plan. And therefore spend that time developing your zonal football, developing your league. I've always, on this program, I've always reminded viewers that when England failed to make the World Cup, it took them 8 years before they qualified for another World Cup. So they missed 2 World Cups before they could reach there. Our country thinks that every World Cup qualifying, every 4 years, we should be there.
Are we trying it for the same?
And we're trying again. But I would hope that we make it this time with 8 teams or something like that, 7 teams or 8 teams, right, coming in the next World Cup. But I totally agree that we have to develop. We cannot have a focus on always
product.
trying, right on the finished product.
You can't have a... We had to have a focus on development. We can't just focus on the finished product. And if you look at the model of the countries around the world who would have focused on that,
On development. Holland, whoever.
you see Morocco. How did they do in the World Cup?
Well, it is exactly what we're saying, though. So what we have to let it build.
Correct.
Are we not letting it build? We're trying to force ripe it.
Correct.
And so things like that wouldn't work. Anyhow, we need to take a break now. When we come back, we continue on. Viewers, we'll be right back after the short break.
Change our TV to the sound, boy, better stay calm, be cool.
We are Gold Cup qualifier.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. All right, guys. So time is running out so fast on us, and there's so much to talk about. But so we have our national team preparing for Gold Cup qualification, and we have some international games that we need to do so our teams can be better prepared.
We pulled Guadeloupe.
We playing Guadeloupe
We
in
pulled
what?
Guadeloupe in the first game.
Okay, so we have all that and a lot more because we have a whole preparation of TTFA football. We have coaching clinics, like we're gonna have to run C-class coaching that we want to bring to the Southland so we can get more coaches involved and all that. So let's pick our poison and talk about it. So what we wanted to start on the qualification?
Having pulled Guadeloupe,
Yeah?
yeah, I think having pulled Guadeloupe, I think I think that's the, as Angus would have said, we actually pulled the toughest team in the group to play against. So having pulled Guadeloupe, once we get past Guadeloupe, I don't think we would have a problem until maybe when we meet, if we should meet Guyana.
Guyana is not tougher than Guadeloupe?
No. After we play Guadeloupe. Remember, we had to play Guadeloupe first.
I know.
Guyana is on the other side of the draw.
Oh, okay.
So it looks as though Trinidad and Tobago with Angus Eve is going to meet Guyana with Jamal Shabazz at the helm. Remember, we played the Courts Classic, and both of them played in the final, and they drew.
All right.
So
It's amazing to me that it's sad that we have reached a stage where we contemplating getting past Guadeloupe and Guyana.
yeah,
That these teams are teams that are now challenging for us, and we're wondering if we get past Guadeloupe and if we. It is amazing. This is where our football is, and if they don't realize that we need to stop and start over to properly prepare and get, so that these challenges that we see in Guyana as a challenge, and Barbados as a challenge, and even Jamaica as a challenge, they weren't challenges in the past. All right? And it is amazing that we have to talk about these teams as if we get past Guadeloupe, and then we now have this another challenge with Guyana. And right?
that's the reality of the situation in Clarke.
Agreed, but how are we going to fix it? And that's the problem.
It is
if
amazing.
we keep on doing the same thing
is
over and
amazing.
over again, we go nowhere.
And they probably went away and did that. Guadeloupe and these teams who popping up now as a big team, they went away and they fixed their house.
Well, I'm not
So we should do
seeing
that.
Guadeloupe popping up as a big team. I am thinking that it's a combination of two things. It's a combination of Trinidad and Tobago standard of football would have dropped, and these teams' standard would have lifted.
Right?
Now, I am thinking even if we had stayed here, and even if these teams' standard would have lifted, we would have still been at a certain level above them. But because of our standard dropping, now it sort of tapers off, and the scale now.
And have we studied what is the root causes of that?
I am totally clear.
What is it?
Development from the youth level.
Youth development?
The development from the youth.
And I agree with you, because the last team that came from quality youth development was the under-16 team with Latapi, Foston, Colin Rock, Carlos Lee, myself. That was the last team that we really concentrated. And that team, and the reason why youth development fell, is because that team carried Trinidad and Tobago's football until 2007. With Shaka and all. That team from since 83 went on to be in the World Cup in 2007, the nucleus of that team.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And because we were getting success at the national level now, right, The team after that came as well. And in fact, I shouldn't say only that team, because you still had the Jerry Nixons and the Anglesey below us. And just before us was the, actually the Barringtons, the Hudson Charles. So that grouping, I should say, right? Not just that team. That grouping of players were the last grouping that that got really good youth development programs coming up. In those days, we had Vernon Bain, we had Kenny from the Army, we had Mohammed Issa, we had all that time we had good South Zone football and good. We had Civic Center kicking.
Yeah.
That group, the group with Eddie Nixon's, our group, and the elder group with Kerry and Hudson and so on, that group of players was getting success. They took football up to 2007.
Because I passed through an era where
yes, with that group.
we were very successful.
Correct.
I think it had a time when we didn't lose a game for over 5 years.
Right, and then that group now, because you were getting success, and the stadiums are filling up and so on and so forth, the powers that be in the association really didn't focus on the youth group, the youth development, because you have to spend money in youth development, but I'm making money here. And that is what happened. So I totally agree that youth development is the key. So we have to go back there if we want to see change in the future.
Most definitely.
So we went circle. So that is what SFA wants to do?
I am hoping. And it shouldn't just be SFA. You see, it has to be a national plan.
Yeah, it has to be island-wide.
So suggestions to the TTFA is form a national youth academy or national youth something, and have all these little academies under that umbrella, and work towards that.
And God rest his soul, this is David John Williams, that was his plan. Because we see the big home of football, but adjacent to the big home of football, it's a smaller type accommodation for youth teams, so that youth teams can come, camp, train right outside the home of football. There's a small youth field as well, and that was his plan to develop that, because he understood that football needed a home, that football can come as a unit and use these facilities to develop. And that was the plan. And I hope that they continue it. I hope that they continue to properly utilize the John Williams Home of Football.
Well, the infrastructure is there.
The infrastructure is there.
You know what I've got to ask you guys? National coaches cannot coach club teams. You agree or disagree on that?
I agree.
And why?
I agree because they have to have an unbiased view of players. If you are working with players, that is something that they accused Theo Charles of when he was a senior team. You are working with players. You're developing players. Those players understand you. You understand those players. You will have a biasness for bringing them because it's less work.
Yes.
Right? They understand your tactics. They understand. So therefore, you will have a biasness to saying, listen, instead of bringing these people that I have to now relay my philosophy over to them.
Especially if you don't have much time.
It is easier to bring these players here that all understand my philosophy.
I understand, and they understand.
And it will be easier for me to put a team together, especially when in our country we only plan 4 weeks, 3 weeks before a tournament for the national team. You only plan that. It is not a national program. So if I am out of it and I have a national team that I could call players all during the year, and this is my job, and I could train like every week or every 2 weeks by calling people up. If I have a job as a coach, I can't do that because I have my club to focus on.
All right, hear me out for 1 minute, and then I'll let you comment again. The coach is not the person who goes around the country and bringing players in the national team. And if he is, it should not be like that. It should be your technical staff or your group that you have to bring players in. This is what we're looking for as a discussion with my group. We are looking for these type of players and let them go out and bring these people in.
Yeah.
You're saying that the technical staff is also not involved with clubs?
No.
Because that's where they get technical staff from.
What you're saying is right, TD.
Yeah.
What you're saying is right. But if it is, I am working with Anthony Clarke and he says, Cyrus, I need this type of player or that or that or that. When I see that type of player, I report to him and then we go together and look. He also has to look, but that's after I would have spotted him. That's how it works.
There's too much work on for a national coach.
No, national coaches is Southgate.
No.
National coaches of in top leagues, they are seated in the big games. They are seated in the big games looking for players.
And I don't agree with it. I'm not saying it's not happening. I don't agree with it because it's the same thing happened with the Brazil coach a couple of World Cups ago. You should not be involved. You should not be the one who going out and bringing this because he can do that anyway. It's bias it's the same bias.
No, it's not the same bias.
Because I could go to my neighborhood and bring a player who I've always seen in the neighborhood, and I wanted to give him a break.
Well, I don't think a national coach selects players
trying to limit the bias
like that. I think that he will be using stats, right, looking at
so it's the same thing.
A player, right, looking at stats. So he needs to go and look at players, how they play, to see if they could fit into his philosophy.
After being told by his scout, I have found so and so and so, I need you to come and have a look.
And he still doesn't know until he has them in. And then he's working with them.
But you are asking why shouldn't he be a coach of a club? That's the question, right? So my question is, even though you have scouts or whatever the case is, the reason why I don't agree of a coach being a national coach as well as a coach of a club, the main reason is he will have biases based on the players that he, especially if it's one of the top clubs.
Especially if it's one of
So let's just say head coach, but all his assistants as well. And an assistant is an assistant. And how does the assistant get better at coaching if he doesn't coach anybody? He's the assistant to the national coach. He has his game, his coaching game. It's just like you have football or you're playing. Your coaching game has to develop.
Well, all right. So therefore, we have to rename that. The coach, basically, because his assistant should have his a national coach. A national coach chooses assistants based on their ability of different functions on the team. So, for example, I would assume that he will have a goalkeeper coach, all right?
Okay.
Who will be coaching the goalkeepers, actually doing coaching. I guess he will have a coach who is more defensive-minded, who would be able to deal with defensive drills and so on and so forth, and things like that. So the coaches are not just a coach that needs to coach. What we call a national coach should actually be like how they do it in international football. He should actually be renamed to the manager because he is managing other coaches who are actually doing coaching on the field, and he puts everything together as the manager.
So where you going with it?
So you're saying that the other coaches don't get an opportunity to actually
can't coach either. So how are they going to?
Oh, you mean in terms of they can't
National
coach?
team.
That is where I was going. If you tell me that the other coaches should be allowed to coach, I would agree with that.
I said national coach.
The assistants.
Everybody
should be allowed to coach.
The assistants should be allowed to coach.
Even the national
A club,
team coach.
right?
I think everybody
But not
should
the
be allowed
national
to.
team coach. The assistants, I agree with, that they should be assigned to a
Well,
club.
the assistant can't.
I know that now as well.
So the biasness that you guys talking about, that's minor because anyhow, the philosophy is not what I like anyway. because I think
I
selection
I think
shouldn't be
Trinidad.
done by a coach.
I think Trinidad is too small to have a national coach coaching a club. You're going to get bias. You are going to get bias.
Right, not only in Trinidad, for example,
In any way you can get
Any-
by.
I know anyway you could get bias, but in Trinidad,
all right, let us look at
Trinidad is way
at
too small.
Spain. The perfect example is Spain,
Yeah.
right? When you had Guardiola,
Luis Enrique.
yeah, Robel, it
Luis
started with
Enrique.
Guardiola.
Yeah, Luis
when you
Enrique.
started with him, the 80% of the team was from Barcelona.
That's the best players.
All right, so therefore the coach will always feel
No.
that his players is the best players.
No,
right?
Guardiola was not.
Not
Guardiola
who was first.
It was Enrique. It was Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique, the ex-Barcelona captain.
No, before Luis Enrique was who?
Aragones.
And he was from where?
He coached Barcelona. He
As
played,
well, right? Yeah. So
played for Barcelona
and
coached
coached Barcelona, right? Yeah. So I wanted to start from before Luis,
Right. So it's Aragones.
all right?
Luis Aragones.
And because you pull him from there, you will get the biasness.
Yeah.
Then he shouldn't be the coach, man. If I am going to be I am a coach and my job depends on it. I need to put the best players on the field.
All right. And my
It has nothing to do with
my point is
the
that he will.
you remember he did that.
He did
And
that.
Spain win the World Cup.
And Spain win the World Cup.
Okay.
But the
So-
best players, based on his philosophy,
Right.
he would know that these players basically were the players that understood his philosophy,
Right,
and
right.
therefore, look, I'm gonna make my job easy and pull most of those players.
Right.
And that's
Right,
his
and
job.
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's
But
nothing wrong
but
with
he
it.
was not coaching Barcelona at
If,
the time he was the
if,
national coach.
if you won the World Cup, nobody can tell you anything.
Correct.
It's the biggest football prize in the world.
But he shouldn't be coaching a club.
The whole point is there is more to gain than lose, letting the national coaches coach teams. Then they can, in the league, they can see the players, they have a better idea, they spend some time with them on the field.
I agree
All of
that.
that.
I agree with the other players, but not the national coach.
All.
Because the national coach also needs to go internationally maybe and look at international players as well. So
Yeah.
I agree with the assistants,
Yeah, yeah.
but the national coach is going all over the world looking at players as well.
Just sticking to the Spain subject, Julian Lopetegui, who they had chosen for the last World Cup, he lost his job while in the World Cup because he would have signed a contract to coach Real Madrid.
All right.
And they decided that, here what?
I can't win to that, and we run out of time. I want to thank you guys for being here again. Appreciate you as much. NCBN TT, thanks for the opportunity. Viewers, thanks for tuning in every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. And we have a Facebook page. You can check us out. We have an email address, philodreamtt@gmail.com. You can drop us a line. This show has ended. Go in peace. I'm Steve David. Good night.